Hello, and thank you for returning. It's been a very rough week. Lots of things happen. One of the things that has put me on delay, I know that I'm behind. I'm going to try and do some catch up today. I'm probably going to still be a day behind for at least one day, but my microphone broke. So that was a thing. But hey, yay eBay. I got that sorted. And then my car battery died, and it was just a really rough week for me at work, and I didn't get to watch a lot of the trial. Normally I can listen to it, but I was in areas that even having my neck speaker on was just not, I couldn't wear it and be able to do the job I was doing. There was lots of bending and lifting with lots of things in very hot areas. So I'm behind in watching court, so I had to play catch up and was trying to watch everything on like 2-point speed. But there are certain things that I don't want to watch on 2-point speed because then you lose the tone and the context of it. So I was trying to balance that out. But we're going to start with the Karen Read retrial summary of day 15. We are on day 18 in real time. Going to go into day 19 on Monday. Today is Sunday, the 18th of May, 2025. Let's get into it. One of the first things we had was Judge Canone telling the jurors that they need to not have facial expressions when they're in the courtroom, and that they shouldn't be muttering under their breath or making audible noises like sighs or anything that might be distracting or could interfere with the other jurors hearing and taking in the information fairly, and that they should not be making any commentary of any kind on anything. So I don't know if there was a lawyer complaint. I don't know if one of the other jurors put in a complaint about another juror, but somebody somewhere was doing one of these. Boy, I would not make a good juror because my face says it all. Be going. And you can't do that when you're a juror. You're supposed to be a neutral, stoic party just taking in information. And I'm going to be taking the information like this. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is over the weekend leading up to the 15th, there was a motion filed by the Commonwealth, which is the prosecution in Massachusetts. For anyone who's new, hey, hi, welcome. I'm FCA. And the motion had been about the Aruba trip. For anyone who doesn't know about the Aruba trip, in January 2021 for New Year's, John O'Keefe, his niece, nephew, and Karen Read and some of their friends all got a hotel and went to Aruba for the New Year as a little vacation thing. And there was a notable fight that had happened, and it was one of the more prominent fights, and according to the niece, which we're going to get to in a second, is one of the times when the relationship started going more south. And it was that John O'Keefe allegedly went to go hug, and he kissed one of the female friends on the cheek, and it sparked Karen Read's jealousy. She got into a huge fight with him, and this was sparked even higher when the niece and nephew were in the hotel room. And when they got in there, John had told the nephew to put his iPad away. Karen Read argued with him, and somehow it led to, you kissed another girl, and then there was fighting continued to ensue. The Aruba trip, the Commonwealth is trying to say, is a pattern that she loses her mind, she gets, her jealousy is the spark that causes her to lose her mind, her being Karen Read, and that this shows a pattern. And because they are trying to prove second-degree murder, which is intentional. Second degree doesn't mean unintentional. Second-degree murder means that it was intentional. You did something with the intent to cause harm, but it wasn't premeditated. Premeditated is what you have to meet to get first degree. Second degree is more of the crimes of passion and provocation. And they're saying that Karen Read was provoked by jealousy again on the night of January 22nd. And that she backed into John O'Keefe out of anger and jealousy. Now, the other way that you can view this is the defense can turn around and go, no, there is no pattern here, because in the Aruba trip a year before, it's not like this happens on a regular basis, more than a year before, nobody died. Yeah, Karen Read might be the jealous type, but the trip didn't end with somebody being unalived, so that's not a pattern. And that can be viewed either way. And in Massachusetts, if you're new, there's a jury instruction that says if something can be viewed two ways, the jury is supposed to lean in the way that benefits the defendant. It's a defendant right protection. So I don't know. Jealousy is an ugly thing, isn't it? But we also lead into court was only live streamed for about 2 minutes before we had John O'Keefe's niece testifying. Her name is public, her first name, but I'm not going to promote that here. She's just going to be the niece out of respect of what she's going through and being a minor. She was 14 at the time of the incident, and she had said that her and Reed had an okay relationship. They would get food and go shopping and get their nails done, that Karen Reed helped her with school projects, but that their relationship depended on the day. If she ever did something that made Karen upset, that Karen would act more favorably towards her brother, John O'Keefe's nephew, and more cold towards the niece. She said that for the most part, John O'Keefe and Karen Reed's relationship was pretty good. They seemed pretty happy with each other until the Aruba trip, and she is the one who said that her brother was using the iPad, and that John O'Keefe told him to put it away, and then that they both started yelling, especially when she yelled at John about kissing somebody else. She said that the morning of the incident, she had went to bed around midnight without much concern, and then when she was woken up by Karen, she was frantic and panicked, saying that her uncle hadn't come home, which was unusual, and Karen was asking her to call him, even though he hadn't answered his phone for her. She asked the niece to call, she being Karen Reed, asked the niece to call Jen McCabe, and that she was asking frenzied questions. This is her words. I will link to where the journalist got it from below. This was not streamed because there was a minor involved, so we just have the words of the journalist. And they had said that the niece said that there were frenzied questions. Could I have done something? Could he have gotten hit by a plow? And the Commonwealth showed her previous testimony to refresh her recollection about how she had testified before, that she said, maybe I hit him. The Commonwealth is clinging to this like it's a confession. And tell me what you guys think. Do you think Karen Reed running around saying things like, could I have hit him? Did something happen? Could somebody have hit him? Do you think that is a panicked, freaked out girlfriend who's like just in an upset state because her boyfriend was found on the ground and worried about him? Or is this a confession? Like, which way do you view that? I think that she was panicked and had a right to be so. She found her loved one unconscious and she's just reeling through her mind. That's my opinion. And that this is also when the teen was asked how things were going when she was cross-examined. It was touched on that their relationship was pretty good with manicures, etc., and that generally things were good, but again, that they went more south after the Aruba trip and the fighting became more frequent. Here's back to the troopers and crime scene investigators. This was relatively short, like just boring, important information, but it was a slog to get through. But we have Zach Clark. I'll put him up here. He was a person from Crime Scene Investigation who took photos of the car. Then we have Evan Brent, who is another crime scene officer who did photos at the scene itself while they were collecting evidence. And he corrected testimony from Sergeant B, who had said that they didn't dig out snow, but he used the word excavate. And when Evan Brent was asked about that, he goes, yeah, we had shovels. There was physically moving of snow happening. I have photos of it. And Sergeant Gallerini, who's also a part of the crime scene investigative unit, he did some buccal swabs on the troopers. And it was brought out, it was supposed to not be considered by the jury, but it was brought out that both Trooper Tully and Trooper Proctor, Tully was the original supervisor, and he'd gotten taken off of the case and had gotten removed as the supervisor. And that's gotta be sus for the jury. It's like, okay, we heard a lot about this Proctor guy, but now you're telling me that another trooper from that same unit got removed from their supervisor position, and then the lead investigator got fired, and the other supervisor got disciplined for improper behavior. I'm just saying that doesn't look good. What continued to not look good for the Commonwealth was our next witness. This is Maureen Harnett. Now, the good thing about a lot of professional and scientific experts is they know their thing, and if it comes outside of their thing, they're just like, that's not my job. And Maureen Harnett is from the crime lab as well. She's the one who processed the car and did the swabs on the solo cups. And the reason why this didn't work out well for the Commonwealth is because they asked her to open an evidence bag that she did not pack. And it was like, do you know what is in this evidence bag? No. Will you open it and find out? Sure. And so she did. Once again, there was trouble reading the label, but she got through it. And a lot of this was just her aimlessly rummaging and digging through this bag. She's like, oh, I found it. I found this in the back. And oh, here's another thing. This was in the bottom. She didn't know it was in the bag. She didn't know what else was in there. She's like, no, this doesn't seem to have labels. Not everything had a sticker on it. And it just doesn't look good in front of the jury. Now, was she the one who put that stuff into evidence? No. Was she the one who put it there? No. Why is the person who did put it there not bringing out the evidence? Because he was fired. And I would like to also point out that every single one of the people who I was just mentioned, Zach Clark, Evan Brent, Sergeant Brian Gallerini, and Maureen Harnett, they were all asked on cross-examination if they knew who the lead investigator was. All said they were informed that Trooper Proctor was the lead investigator. And none of them had a problem using the word lead investigator, which makes it look even more strange from Sergeant Buchanan when he was over there saying, oh, we don't have a lead investigator, we have a main case agent, but we're all in charge of our own things. Like, he's not the lead. And then every other person who's not affiliated with the Boston Police Department or the Canton Police Department, all the rest of them are all like, oh yeah, Michael Proctor was the lead investigator. You know, when other people all use the term lead investigator in a very knowing, nonchalant way, having Sergeant Buchanan argue so hard against the word really makes it stand out, where it's going to highlight to the jury how distancing he's trying to be from Trooper Proctor or former Trooper Proctor and the investigation. It just doesn't look good. It also doesn't look good that we have, for the second time in the second week, someone who doesn't know what's going on with the evidence bags. And again, the defense doesn't have to point that out because it's obvious to the jury. Oh, nobody knows what's going on with these evidence bags. The person who does isn't allowed to have them. Good. The solo cup swabbing, she did one solo cup with 2 swabs. And when she was asked if she had ever had to swab for evidence from solo cups before, she goes, no, I never had to do that before. That's not a standard practice. And she was told that, and she only swabbed 1 cup. And when she was asked why or how she determined one, she said, I just picked one because I was informed that they all came from the same stain at the scene, a stain from under where the victim was found. So for my work, it doesn't matter which solo cup because it's all going to be the same profile information. However, we know from prior testimony that that's not true, that there were multiple spots of blood that the things were scooped up in, but they weren't logged into evidence. They weren't labeled. There were no labels. There wasn't any notes made of going, okay, solo cup 1 was this drop of evidence or anything. And it's not her fault. It's not Miss Harnett's fault. She was doing the best she could with the information she was given. If she's given poor information, that's not on her. Alessi asked her if she had done anything to the tailgate area, and she said no, she wasn't asked to look at where the trunk lifts or anything, even though on the jury view, the jurors were told to pay attention to that. And that wasn't processed. She wasn't asked to process that, and so she didn't. There was also she said it was inconclusive, but at 6:07 timestamp, which in the thing I'll link below to watch the thing for yourself if you're interested. At 6:07, there's a label number that looks to be the same, like it's just a mirror inverted image, and she had testified on direct that those were 2, but because there's a B written on it and the B looks reversed, like inverted, well, that is interesting. This is the second time in relation to the investigation that we've heard the word inverted imagery, again from the Sally Port. And speaking of the Sally Port, we got new Sally Port video. I'll put a little frame here. I don't know how you're supposed to get anything from that. It's so grainy and poorly lit. The information that was important that we were able to glean from that is watching some snow slide down and melt off of the car. I can't help but think that that's not great for an investigation, because if there were hairs or anything on the top of the car that were caught in that snow that are now being dragged all the way down, I don't know, maybe that doesn't mean anything. I'm not the expert here. It wasn't asked or pointed out. And if the hair that was found in the taillight area was inverted, I'll put that photo up here. Maureen said that she couldn't tell one way or another. She was like, it doesn't look, I'm not seeing what you're seeing, but it could be. And that is where we ended. And that is day 15. We got lots of foundational witnesses. We got the testimony of the niece, which was very short. We did not get any testimony from the nephew, because I guess it was determined that was going to be same. And I will see you for the next video. Bye, my wonderful humans.